Well, hello and welcome to Real Talk. We are so excited to have all of you to join us on today. We have something very, very important, very big that we're going to be dealing with on today, and we hope that you all are able to join us and get involved with us. How you doing today, Bishop T?
I'm good, Pastor Z. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Your week been going very well.
It's going very well. I can't complain. How is your week going?
Going pretty good. Going pretty good. And so we're excited. You're excited?
I am looking forward to a good show tonight. Um, Want to invite everyone to come in and get involved in our conversation tonight, as usual. This week, like and share, and let somebody know that we're on tonight. And I think we got some interesting content tonight, as usual. So, some questions that different ones have had prior to now, they'll feel free asking those questions. So, we're ready.
We're ready. Amen. I keep saying amen. It's the church in me. I apologize.
The church in you.
It's the church in me.
Right.
Listen, y'all, you all can join us. We're on Real Talk. It's Pastor Z and Bishop T. You can follow us on YouTube. And you also can go to our Facebook page. We also have a Twitter page. You will get all that information. It'll come across the screen throughout the show. We have some sponsors also that we're going to acknowledge. And also the show that we have today, we're going to share with you who it is sponsored by, the physician that we are have been given to use on our show to give us some information on today. And so we ask that all of you would just come on in. Listen, everybody that's tuned into us right now, if you would, if you're watching our show, share it on your page. Share it on your page right now. And we want you to like and share this video, but share it on your page. So if they're looking for the show, they can find it on your page. We want Real Talk to take over Facebook for the next hour, hour and a half. We got some important information. We want to answer all your questions. So we do want you to comment at any time on the show or ask the questions that you would like to ask once we bring on our physician. We got a special guest today, Dr. Xavier Smith. You all know him, Gaston. Of course, we love him and we thank him for all the work that he does in our community and in his field. Okay, so go ahead, share, 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 send out, send out, send out to any and everyone. We're getting ready to move forward and get started with our show. So if you're ready, we're ready. Let's go. Listen, we had a little technical difficulties with that intro. Had a little lag there, but we'll get it fixed by the next show. We'll get it fixed by the next show. It was going pretty good. What you think?
I like it. I like
Listen,
it.
you got to see the whole entire one. I'm sorry it acted up on us, but we'll get it straight by next time. We'll get it straight by next time. But y'all know what time it is. What we do always first at the beginning of our show. It's time for COVID update. Mr. Thomas Worthy, how are you today? Every show. What is
Don't
wrong with the
start, Ref. Don't
council?
start. Don't start, Ref. Don't start. I don't know
What's
why
going
that
on, man?
it's just hey, everything's good. Everything's good. Till it was time for me to go on, and then I had a technical difficulty. It's crazy. I don't know
What
what's
about
wrong.
now? You got it together?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you can hear me, can't you?
Yes. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you all? How you doing, Bishop?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great.
Listen, man, we want some good news.
Well, we have a little good news to give. Some. It's not all bleak. Uh, our numbers for vaccinations is going up, so that's great. Uh, we are now at 43.4% here in Etowah County with one shot, and then we're at 33.3% with fully vaccinated here in Etowah County. So it's not where we want to be, but it's a step in the right direction. Uh, in the last 7 days, we have 379 cases. So at Gaston Regional Medical Center, we have 58 in-house patients uh, with 56 staff that's out. It's either, with the virus or quarantine because they've been around someone. And as of the 58 total, 6 was fully vaccinated or fully vaccinated that's in the hospital. That's at Gaston Regional. And then at Riverview Hospital, we have 45 in the house with 14 staff, and 13 is in ICU. Uh, so our death rate, we are at 400. So right now, so last week we was at 389, I believe. So
Mm.
that's 11 deaths in the last week.
And all
So
this is COVID related.
just COVID related. Yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
So we have a total now 400 in the Etowah County. It's COVID. So this is no joke. Uh, and we just have to continue to talk to people and tell them to get the vaccine. Some people still hesitant, just don't want it. I think the ones that don't have it as of now just don't want to get it. So I don't know. We just got to keep trying to talk to them and persuade them somehow to get it. And you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for people around you. You're doing it for your family members. You're doing it for your kids because you don't want to give that Delta variant to your kids because the kids with the Delta variant they're going in the hospital also. They've been that sick. Um, so we are at a total of 17,677 cases here in Etowah County. Um, new cases for the last week was 446. We're at 26.2% infection rate. That's 26.2% of everybody taking the test coming back positive. Uh, the fire department ran 25 cases last week for a total of 126 cases for the last 2 months. And within the fire department, they have 5 with the coronavirus. And I know the police department, we have one I know that was in the hospital, and that's been, his family put that on Facebook. So we need to start getting a report from the police department, but we haven't been receiving one from them. So let's pray for all the people that's in the hospital. And please, ma'am, please, sir, please go out and get your vaccine. We'll be doing the $5,000 draw. They're not going to do the drawing until after the deadline, and I think it's October 18th. That's when if you want to participate in Vaccinate Gaston, you have to have both of your shots completed by October the 18th. And then that's when we will do the drawing. We will do the drawing either at the city council meeting live, so we won't have any shenanigans. People won't think that we, having any shenanigans. So we're just gonna do it live. And we talked about either doing it at the council meeting or over at the venue, so we can have more people to come. So I believe that's all I have.
Well, all right, my friend.
Questions?
Bishop, you got anything for him?
No, I don't. I don't have any questions. At least it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
And then I don't know if you all were watching Biden's actions today to the mandates, COVID mandates that he did for federal workers and contractors and all of that. So I know now, so maybe with that, even locally, we should see some improvement because federal workers, I think, have to be vaccinated now.
Absolutely.
And test, they can't opt out of being tested and all of that. So there were those mandates that were handed down or executive orders that were put in place today by him. So hopefully, our numbers will get even better on a local level with some of those mandates. I'm sure will affect each state.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because you got federal workers in all these cities, so that will help. And I think they said it'll affect about maybe 80 million people.
Right?
And then we about need to vaccinate 80 million. So if that would help a lot to curb this pandemic.
Now, let me ask you one question with respect to make sure I understood you last week as it relates to the compensation for being vaccinated. Am I understanding you correctly to say that if what were you saying about the first shot and the second shot? People who already, does the first shot have to be dated after the
Yes.
So
after we started the program,
okay.
we cannot give money if you had your first shot before Vaccinate Gaston started.
Okay.
I would say it was July the 20th is when we started.
When it started, okay.
And so we had a lot of calls on that. I even talked about it at the council meeting and asked them, if we could pay the $50 to people that got the one shot. Because if you're getting two shots and they're giving you $100, look like to me they're giving you $50 for each shot. So, but they said they couldn't give the federal money for that.
So let me ask this. So with that being said, do you feel that can you all tell by the money that's being given that the people are responding to that?
Yes. Matter of fact, I talked with our finance director yesterday. No, it was today, this morning. And we have 560 people that they have given the $100 to.
Okay.
So, but EMA numbers put it at over 1,185 people that's been vaccinated with both shots. But just because they were vaccinated don't mean they live in the city.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because you have to live in the city to get that $100.
Okay.
So that's why you got a discrepancy in the numbers.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least we're looking better.
Right. Oh,
Not
absolutely.
as well as we
Absolutely.
want, but better.
Uh-huh. And also, while we're talking about that compensation, if your kids in your house, they 12 and older, and you get them vaccinated, you don't have to take them to City Hall with you to get the $100. You just have to take the paperwork, and you got to have proof that they live inside the city limits. So what the finance director was telling me today was, if you bring a school records, they have the address where they live on the school records, and that's the best way to do it. So,
Okay. Well, we appreciate that information, man. We're praying and hoping that we get some good news or better news on
absolutely.
next week.
Yes,
Until
sir.
then, keep fighting the fight. Stay in the trenches, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good evening.
You
You
too.
too.
All right, all right. Well, we're so glad to again have Mr. Thomas Worthy, Councilman District 3 here in Gaston, to always bring us our update, COVID update. And it's always good to hear some encouraging and good news, especially in times in which we're living. On today, we have something special. Um, Dre Kirkpatrick, 21 Kids Foundation, has a campaign, it's Let's Huddle campaign, and they are actually have been uh, initiating and giving out shots. They've actually given out shots to the Hispanic community as well as to the community at large. And so today we have someone that's going to be on with us that is going to answer many questions. Is going to give you the information, true information concerning the vaccination and the virus. And listen, audience, we want you to comment, ask any questions that you desire to ask, so that we can you can get the information that you're looking for or you need to have in order to make the decision to go ahead and get the vaccination. Okay. So at this time, we're going to get ready and bring our special guest to the show. Welcome none other than Mr. Dr. Xavier Smith, OBGYN. How you doing, Dr. Smith?
All right. How are you
Oh,
guys?
we're doing pretty
Great.
good. Doing pretty good. Dr. Smith is actually he's moving from one place to the next, and but he's took out of his busy schedule to be with us on today, and so we actually want to converse with you and talk to you concerning the vaccine and the vaccination. There's so many people out there that do not want to get the vaccination, and they have their reasons for not receiving the vaccinations. And I'm gonna hit you with the first question that came, and I want to ask all our listeners to shoot from the hip, give us the questions to ask Dr. Smith. One question is, should they continue? Should they take the regular flu shot that they give yearly if they had the vaccination?
Yes, they still should take the flu shot. The main priority with the way that the pandemic is really running around robustly right now is setting the COVID vaccine up and getting vaccinated for the COVID virus initially if you have not been vaccinated already. That's the main priority ahead of things heading into the already flu season that comes about every year. So we really want to put in the urge. This is a sense of urgency to really go ahead and get the COVID-19 vaccine so you can go ahead and get that done. So you can go ahead after that and get your flu vaccine. Uh, with the way that the vaccines are, you usually have to wait a month after the first injection is given, and you get your second injection then. Then what you probably want to do after that, if you're going to get the flu vaccine, is go ahead and get it a month after you get your second dose of your COVID vaccine. So that's why right now, given the time of year that we're in, it's really, really pertinent to go ahead and get the COVID-19 vaccine, because the Delta variant, like Brother Wordy was saying earlier, is out there and is doing damage to the young and is doing damage to the old as well. So nobody's left unaffected. Even if you haven't contracted the virus, everybody knows someone who has, and your life is affected about even by what happens to those friends or loved ones who do get affected by it.
So there's a question. People are asking questions. Why take this vaccination? I'm gonna ask you a few. A and a B. Okay, which vaccine do you refer? Um, which one is more effective? And then they really want to know, why should they take the vaccination if they have children in the house that's less than 12, and they cannot take the vaccination. It don't keep the person from getting the vaccination from receiving the virus, and it definitely won't keep them from transferring it to the younger children that may be in the household. Those are some of the questions I've seen and heard.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll take it in parts, because I think what the first question that you asked about, which one that I prefer or is preferred, getting the vaccine is preferred at this point. The biggest thing is for women, because I work a lot with women in the field of OBGYN. Women under 45, age of 45, they are encouraged to do the mRNA vaccines, the Pfizer and the Moderna, simply because there have been some blood clot effects that have been seen in a rare amount of women under the age of 45 with the J&J vaccine, which is the Johnson & Johnson single dose. But that's even a rare amount, with me preferring the women under age 45 to get the Moderna or the Pfizer. I go along that line simply because that all of these vaccines are readily available, and a lot of people do have a choice in the ones that they do choose to get. As far as the effectiveness of each, the ones that I would prefer them to get or have a preference of them getting are those mRNA vaccines, the Moderna and or the Pfizer ones. They have shown greater efficacy with the variant and protecting against death and severe disease than the J&J. All of them have been very effective at protecting against death. And when we come to think about getting a vaccine, you have to ask yourself the question: how many people, number one, do I know who have passed away from COVID? Number two, have I known anybody to pass away from the vaccine? That's just real talk. Those are
straight up answers right there. And nobody can tell me anyone that they've known who's died from getting the vaccine. And so there's too many people out here dying from the actual virus itself. So they need to put all of that aside and start to prioritize life, not just for themselves, but for their neighbor, for their loved ones, for their family, for their friends. Because even if they don't care about getting the vaccine or they actually care to, uh, they don't care whether they get COVID or not, if they pass away, they leave family members behind, they leave friends behind. They can't, they have to take care of their affairs. They leave children behind. I've seen a woman whose sister, African American female in her 30s, had 3 children,
Mm.
single mom, and her sister died of COVID-19. And she had 3 children.
Mm, mm,
And
mm.
she was left to take care of those 3 children and her 3 children.
Mm.
You talking about a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Those are the real visceral effects of what's happening out here with the virus. It's not political, even though people try to make it into that.
Yeah.
This is very, very medical and it's factual. So the facts are get a vaccine if it's available. If you have the ability and you do have the option of choices, get the mRNA vaccines. They have better longevity as far as coverage, and they've been heavily, heavily studied at
And
their,
those and
their
those
effectiveness.
and those particular vaccines are Moderna and Pfizer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
So, question. I'll ask you this one question, then I'm gonna let Bishop T come in. Uh, what was the reason? Because people have their, like you said, political. So, what is the reason why the vaccinations wasn't FDA approved before they sent them out, before they issued them out?
Get it.
Tell the
Well,
people what the reason was or why they didn't get FDA approved. I know Pfizer is now,
mhm.
but what was the reason that people was like, oh, they rushed this out? I'm not finna take nothing right now. I'm gonna wait and see how because it may have short term or long term effects. They had all type of reasons why they're dodging this. Can you kind of explain? Is there a process to that the vaccinations have to go through in order to get FDA approved?
Yes, the Food and Drug Administration or the association is involved with various things, and COVID-19 is one of them, and the vaccines are one of them as well. So they follow rigorous uh, evaluations of all the products or drugs that go through their scrutiny, and you have to weigh the studies that are conducted in the process of getting a drug approved. You have to weigh that in with what's actually happening out in the community
Okay.
or out in the world at large. So, ever since COVID 19 came upon us or came into our awareness, not just us as a general people, but into the awareness of the CDC and the FDA, that's when the COVID-19 started to be heavily, heavily studied, and that's when these vaccines started to go into being applied to these studies. So, what was happening at the time of going through the process of creating the vaccines for COVID-19 is that what was happening at a rapid rate within our country was being evaluated with what they already knew the vaccine could do. versus the outcomes that they had already seen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a risk versus benefits situation that you're dealing with when you come to what they call is the EUA, which is the emergency use authorization step. So when people could feel the weight of the rapid nature of the way people were dying of COVID-19, particularly late November, early December. And so heads had to come uh, to the table about what did they have already going on with the vaccines, and were they ready to be, you know, rolled out as for use, because it had become an emergency situation. So everything that they had in their studies from that point showed that it met it met the criteria. So this system is set up for checks and balances. So the FDA never stops. So it still has to continue to do its work, its due diligence, and evaluate. And they stuck to their standards with the FDA, and they just proceeded in that fashion. So all of this other use of the vaccine itself and the EUA, or emergency use authorization, took place under the CDC, and so that's they were doing their job to get the virus under control by reviewing the effectiveness of the vaccines that they had, and also looking at the research on whether they were actually doing harm to the people who actually used them.
Okay, Bishop, I know you was going to jump in there right quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to jump in, and I especially want to jump in and ask this: if how many people do we have on right now?
We
Uh,
have about 31 that we can see right now.
okay. I really want to encourage those of you who are viewing right now to really tag someone and encourage someone to get on, because we have a medical professional and none other than Dr. Smith here with us today, and so many questions that we have had can be answered. I want to ask this to that population that is skeptical about taking the vaccination. Um, and we know we have that population out there amongst minorities who are skeptical because of things that have happened in the past as it relates to minorities when it comes to um, different things and all. But I don't know if I want to say a scale of 1 to 10 or a scale of 1 to 5, but in however you could verbally convey it to us, what is the overall, or what do you feel? What would you rate, say, from a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most severe? What would you say would be the rate of causing some harm, or the vaccination being um, detrimental or something to the average person that gets vaccinated?
As far as like the average person being vaccinated from uh, any of these vaccines, they pose no long-term deficits or effects to them. Most of the uh, responses to the vaccines to the average person are very limited, usually limited to the first 24 to 48 hours. Uh, Usually take place in the form of fatigue. Some may mount a fever or sore arm, or just feeling run down or body aches. Uh, But as I was saying, they're short-lived, and by and large, they don't really pose any risk to the average person that's greater than the risk of COVID-19. A lot of my patients my average patients who are pregnant become concerned about what it could do to their pregnancy, and or the ones who aren't pregnant, what it could do in terms of their fertility. COVID-19, the infection or virus, can do more to harm theoretically and actually do more to harm their pregnancies and or their fertility, because it's a pro-clotting or inflammatory condition. So you can be predisposed to having growth restriction with pregnancies, increase your chances of having what they call preterm birth, preeclampsia, which is a blood pressure condition that relates to pregnancy, increase those risks, and also with fetal demise as well, or fetal death. So the vaccine doesn't do so. Above and beyond the risk that I told you about the average person being exposed to with the vaccine, it's a simple choice. That if one versus the other is, you just can't compare.
Can't compare. Did you see that? Did you see the question with respect to Ashley Kirkpatrick? I know you put it on the screen for a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna go to those once you got done asking those questions that you may have had. We're gonna take a break and go to those questions in just a few minutes. You have anything else? Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to take a break. We want everyone to ask all the questions, make the comments that you desire to make, that you would like for Dr. Smith to give you clarity on. Do ask those questions in the comment box, whether you're on YouTube or whether you're on Facebook Live. You're more than welcome to make those comments. We'll be right back. We're back. We're back with Dr. Xavier Smith. Of course, this is sponsored by 21 Kids, Drake Kirkpatrick, and this is Holla Up campaign of 21 Kids by Drake Kirkpatrick. We have Dr. Xavier Smith. He's here answering questions and giving us true information concerning the virus and the vaccination. And so, therefore, that was a question that was posed to you, Dr. Smith. Where can you find the studies on the vaccine effects in those of childbearing age, the pregnancy itself, and the babies born of those vaccinated? Asking as a parent of young girls.
Oh, okay. You can go to the CDC website, and you can also go to the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology and the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology websites, and they should have that information readily available there.
Okay. Ashley Kirkpatrick says, is there a wait time on getting the vaccine after you have had COVID?
Yes, in general, after you've had COVID disease, it's recommended 90 days. It has been as early as 60 if you've had like asymptomatic COVID-19. So usually 60 to 90 days.
Okay. Now I know there was a question that was asked, and I believe some of these people believe this too as well. That if you have had COVID, you would have already have the antibodies. A lot of people feel like once they got COVID and got over COVID, they don't need a vaccine now. That they don't think that they can get it anymore. Is that true?
No, that isn't true at all. And the presence of the antibodies is different from person to person after they have acquired a specific infection. So some people may keep antibodies around that might be protective for them, but it's uncertain on how long that would actually last. And given the new nature, technically still, of this virus, and with the variants out there currently, especially the Delta variant, people who've had like an infection early on in the pandemic definitely wouldn't still necessarily be more protected by having had COVID-19 that initial time. So that's not true that they couldn't benefit from getting the vaccine, and they can actually have longer periods of coverage and protection from death and severe disease.
Amen. Dana, my brother, said they're talking about booster shots after those that have taken the vaccine. How long should you wait before getting the flu shot?
After your booster shot?
So after the vaccine, let's ask this question. After the vaccine, how long should you wait before getting the booster shot?
You should wait 8 months after you get the vaccine, after you get your second dose, if you're getting the mRNA vaccine. You should wait 8 months.
Okay. So what if you got the flu shot? How long do it take before you get how long should you wait before you get the flu shot if you got the vaccine?
1 month.
1 month. So if you waited 1 month, you still need to wait 8 months after you got the flu shot, or 8 months after you got the vaccine?
8 months after, 8 months after you got the COVID vaccine, you get your booster shot.
Okay.
You can wait a month after you got your initial COVID vaccine, your second injection. You can wait a month after that. Or if you're at the point already where it's time for your booster, you can get your booster, wait a month after that, and get the flu vaccine.
Okay. So it need to be at least a month in between the booster and the vaccine.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. We have some more questions. Let's see. All right. Ashley Kirkpatrick says, now that I'm being mandated to be vaccinated, I'm currently in the house with my child who is positive for COVID. Would it be best to wait until after his quarantine period to be vaccinated?
No. If you're supposed to get vaccinated, get vaccinated.
Yeah.
You know.
If you now, what if she's positive? She didn't say it, but what if she has it?
She needs to get tested.
Okay.
She needs to find out if she is.
And if she is, then what?
If she is, then she needs to wait, just like everyone else, the 90 days
Okay.
afterwards. But if she isn't, she needs to continue to be on quarantine, and her son needs to remain in isolation until they become non-infected, and that she's had a negative test. Now,
Okay.
if she has negative tests after he's undergone his resolution of his illness and in his quarantine time, then she needs to go ahead and get vaccinated after that and or tested at that time.
Okay. All right. Ms. Visory, I can't pronounce her name. She says, "Will you continually have to have boosters? Seem to be 8 months initially."
Well, what they're seeing now, and remember, this is a new virus still to us, so we don't really know that. But what's seemingly taking place with the research that they have so far is that the 8 months booster, getting the 8 month booster, might be showing that it might be extremely more durable and greatly effective at another season of COVID that may come next year and still may offer protection at that time. But currently, with having a virus be in circulation at this rate, with a few people as vaccinated and protected already, having the virus be in circulation gives it an opportunity to thrive and evolve. That's where you come into these variants. It's sort of like survival of the fittest. So the stronger variants start to survive and the weaker ones go away. So as long as we got it in circulation, we give the virus an opportunity to survive. So that's why getting vaccinated is critically important in trying to put a foothold in getting this pandemic down and getting our lives back to some sense of normalcy.
Yeah. I gotta ask the hard question, and I know you're not God, and you're not going to play God, but I mean, when did you see, or where do you see? How long do you think this mask, man, us wearing masks and things getting back to normal? When would that be? I mean, do you ever see it?
That's a great question. That's one question that since this whole thing started, I've been trying to ask myself too. And I guess the true answer to that is that I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know, because we haven't tipped the scale yet.
Wow.
With
We haven't?
we haven't tipped the scale yet as far as where the numbers need to be in order to have some comfort into making a prediction like, oh yeah, we'll be great by summer 2022. We haven't hit that threshold tipping point yet with getting people vaccinated and providing what they call is herd immunity at that point. We just haven't hit that point yet. And if we want to be responsible and accountable for trying to keep people from being maximally affected by this virus, we really can't throw the mask away right now.
Yeah.
We really can't do that right now. So if we can get to the tipping point where we have appropriate herd immunity and without significant virus evolution, then I could say we can get rid of the mask. But right now we're just not there, and that's the truth of it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's tough. That's
Yeah,
very tough.
yeah. It's a hard reality to face with it. But it's even segments of, say, in Missouri, where they've underwent an initial phase, and they had a lot of people who weren't believing in the vaccine and weren't believing in the mask, so they went through a surge initially, and then even there, the numbers started to go down. People got even more careless, and then the numbers surged up again. They, got rid of the mask, got
Yeah,
comfortable, got
yeah,
comfortable when we, as a nation, hadn't reached the tipping point. We hadn't reached the threshold, and that's the part where people don't understand is no matter what state you're in, no matter what county you're in, no matter what part of Gaston you're in, we need to understand that we're all connected.
all connected.
So it doesn't matter if hasn't started affecting your family yet. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It doesn't see in the race. It doesn't see a color. It
exactly.
affects who it affects. Now you made the statement about it hadn't hit the tipping point yet. I've been, just this past Saturday, college football,
Mm,
and man, I saw thousands of people with no mask screaming, hollering like we are normal. Tonight, NFL kicks off with Tampa Bay and Dallas.
mm,
I mean, they was doing the bubble thing. I don't think they're doing the bubble thing anymore.
mm,
And I know that the NFL, the different teams are trying to get the different players to take the vaccinations, and a lot of them, and they saying they're not blaming it. The reason why they are cutting people from their team, but they letting some of their players go because they won't take the vaccination. But they saying that that's not the reason. Cam Newton was one of the ones.
mm.
But the coach came back and said it had nothing to do with the vaccine. The vaccine. I don't know.
Yeah, one of the coaches for a team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, he outwardly admitted it, and he's faced some backlash because of it. But when it comes to the NFL itself or sports teams, it's all really about the bottom line. If you are potentially a threat to the bottom line and you're out there, you're getting people infected, you're taking off, you're missing games because you're sick, you're not vaccinated, you got to follow the protocols. If you are vaccinated, you're affecting that team's bottom line. So that's where things start. The rubber started to meet the road with cutting certain players and them having to consider those type of things if people didn't get vaccinated. What damage could that actually do to their product or their team or their business?
Right.
And you've seen it from some of the big corporations. They've made those steps at this point in the pandemic to take those steps to have vaccine mandates for their employees. Uh, at this time, everybody Facebook and Google. So once it starts to affect the finances of things and the
Mm,
economy, and that's that's where many people, it's sad to say, but that's where many people start to get serious about what's happening and the wheels start to actually turn.
right.
But in regards to these games that took place and the massive crowds that they have had at those games, they still, even though they're outside in most of those venues, the capacity with which those stadiums are jam packed and the proximity and the duration of the time spent next to that crowd, that person, the aerosols are still in the air and they're very close. And like I said, with the COVID Delta variant, it's greatly more transmissible than the original strain. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the next 1 or 2 weeks goes with the numbers.
Hmm. There's a question that is posted. There was a doctor office in the news that refused to see unvaccinated patients. Is that legal, ethical, and does it violate his oath?
Well, as far as it being ethical, it's not. It's not an ethical move as far as uh, refusal to see that patient. Uh, it's one of the things where you have to see what does it mean to not see that patient per se. You have to really look at the whole dynamics of by seeing the patient or having the patient come into an office setting. Is it really going to change the management of that patient or what you can do for that patient? If it's not, then it's not really a violation. If you can see that patient still through a mechanism like we're convening in currently, they have that available, telehealth medicine. If you could do that and still be safe with it and still see that patient, then you're not violating anything ethically and you're not violating the oath. Now, if that doctor just totally outright refused to see that patient at all or set up that patient in a way in which they could be evaluated for what's going on with them, then that's a whole other ethical question there. And that may be a violation of the code.
Uh, let me ask you a question because people are really they're refusing and don't want to take this vaccine. They don't want to be vaccinated. And even, we've talked about it's a party thing. The Democrats, they for the vaccination. Republicans, like you say, it's a political thing with some people. But we actually saw Donald Trump, former president, in Coleman, make the statement to the people there that was not masked that get vaccinated. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, I got vaccinated, get vaccinated. And when he made that statement, you would think they agree with everything he have said in the past. They start booing him about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think the vaccination it kind of overrules some things. Even if you agree with a lot of other things, but that's one thing that they're refusing to do. And so, like you said, as long as we have people not getting vaccinated, new strains will be created, you think?
that's a high possibility.
And
That's
will
a
the
high.
vaccination that we have received already, will it have any effect on the new strand?
It's possible that it can, but just like any part of say, a part of yourself, if you went around and you had, you know, one arm all your life and that worked for you,
Yeah.
but all of a sudden, every time you and everybody else in the world had one arm and you just shook hands with that one arm. Well, if somebody goes and develops another arm, and they want to shake both. They want to use both of their arms and shake your two hands, and that's not going to work out. So it's 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 harder to fight something. It's harder to mesh with something when it changes up on you. And it's hard to think that the same medicine that you're putting out there is going to be effective for something that doesn't look the same. So
Right.
it's not going to recognize it to fight it off as effective as it would when it used to look like something else.
Right. Right.
So that's going to require updates with the vaccine. And if it remains in circulation like that, you see that more so involved with what you see with the flu already. Each season, they have to find out what strain is out there predominantly and develop a vaccine that's targeting that most predominant strain of flu that's out there.
Hmm.
So you can start to possibly see COVID-19 develop into something like that.
Yeah. Question: do you think that this vaccine will be part of the immunization shots to come?
Yes. And I don't like saying that, but it's for the same reason I was just, trying to elaborate upon. Uh, it's just that if it's going to be out there, it's going to be ready to party. It's going to be ready to attack us. And the more it evolves, the more it has the potential to have different effects on our organs, possibly even different than it originally had with the original strain. And we don't know what those type of effects could be. I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I'm just trying to give you some potential realities that we could be potentially facing because we got our heads in the sand.
Listen, uh, some of the people want to see you, so they want you to turn your light on inside your car if you can. There you go. They can see your face.
I
Uh,
didn't know it had got so dark so quick.
right. So you saying like the blue immunization shots that children have to get in different schools at a certain age? You saying that it's a possibility that this vaccine will be on there?
I can't say yet for the children under the age of 12, but it's still a stepwise process, and we'll get more answers, I'm thinking, in the next month about the way that is for children under the age of 12 and how the vaccine could potentially be useful or not something recommended for them. Until we get that, uh, I can't really say about that level.
Right.
Uh, but as far as what's happening and the way that you keep it in circulation, it can definitely become part to the older population and more of a recognized updated vaccine that they receive, much like the flu vaccine, the shingles vaccine, or the pneumonia vaccine for susceptible or more affected populations, whether that's the immunocompromised or the extreme obese or heart disease patients or people that are out there, people who are more susceptible to it on a regular basis. But until you're able to put out there whether the vaccine is actually something that's effective and safe for children under those ages, I can't really say that
Right.
it'll be something that'll appear there for them.
Right. Now it's been rumored, and this is one of the things I heard about this whole virus. They initially said it was a bat that bit a piece of meat. somebody ate the meat and it came from China all the way over here and it went widespread. Some people say that this virus was created in a lab here in the United States of America. There are some that say the reason why it was created, it was for population control. They're saying that Bill Gates made a statement years ago about it's too many people in the United States, and he has some type of chip that's supposed to control the virus or the vaccine or whatever. Can you elaborate on any of that? Is any of that true?
It's probably pieces of truth and a lot of the conspiracy theories that are out there, but it's a lot of uncircumstantiated information at this point, and it's a lot of vagueness in the details as well. All of those are really important questions to try to get answered with the reluctance of the Chinese government in answering a lot of the initial questions and the initial investigations into the origins of the virus. That hasn't helped. And because of that, there could be pieces of truth on both sides. It could have been something that began in a lab, but it also could have been something that got out of a lab, that got to a bat and got into a wet market.
Mm-hmm.
It could be pieces of both parts of the truth, but that really hasn't been circumstantiated well enough at this time to say.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Bishop T. Um, the nurses, we're seeing the nurses that are refusing to clock in. They're
Mm,
this thing is becoming very stressful on them. They're tired. People they saying that we're not looking for more money. We're just tired of seeing people die from this.
yeah.
The stress that is taking place. You're on the inside, and I know you deal with OBGYN, you deal with females quite often. Are you seeing these patients as well?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I have to deal with it every day. Uh, I'm on call a lot of the time, and one recent weekend, about 2 weekends ago, I dealt with one that was in the ICU, pregnant woman, and she just wanted to be able to just breathe. She got to a point where she just didn't care anymore. She just wanted to get the baby out because she didn't feel that she could breathe with the baby in, and the baby wasn't ready yet.
Mm,
That's the point of desperation
yeah.
I've seen with women who are pregnant be affected with this virus. That's the point. And I even dealt with one that I treated, and I did get to the point where I had to deliver her baby by C-section.
Mm,
She was from the Hispanic community, and she was in the ICU. She couldn't even lie down. Her oxygen status, even on getting oxygen, her oxygen status would just die, nose die, and had to do a C-section on her. She felt that she was so close to death, which she was, that I saw her a month ago, and she still has post-traumatic stress from that.
mm,
This is very real.
it's real.
I did three C-sections on COVID-19 patients that weekend. The weekend before last. Three. Three.
Mm,
And I had another patient that I delivered today. I had to switch the date that she can get in and have her baby because they're only allowed to have one support person there. and her one support person was her husband, and he had COVID, so he couldn't come in. So I had to switch her due date, let her keep a baby in there longer that could possibly get bigger and do her body damage, just so he can be a part of that experience. Had he got the vaccine,
Yeah.
had he got the vaccine, or their family got the vaccine, we wouldn't have to have that type of situation. And so every day it's a battle. I got people calling in who can't breathe, and we're doing what they call monoclonal antibody infusions to try to help those who are severely at risk of being affected, which are the obese and pregnant women, trying to get them in so they can get infusions, so they can get over the hump of becoming a severely affected patient being in the ICU. I had 3 of those patients today. So it's out there. It's weighing on us. It's on our necks every day, all parts of the day. And we don't. That's the reality that we have to live, and that's the reality that those nurses are dealing with up front, day in and day out.
Yeah.
They're over and done with.
Yeah. Yeah. Bishop T, are you there?
Yeah, can you see me? Can you see and hear me?
I can hear
Yeah,
you. I can see you. There's a question on the screen. If you have anything for Dr. Smith, you may ask at this time.
yeah. The monoclonal antibody infusions have uh, come into use for those who are actively affected with COVID-19 infection, those who have mild to moderate symptoms. As I was saying, those who might be more susceptible to mild disease quickly turning into severe disease, it's recommended as a option of treatment for them, and it's done as an infusion, and they're doing it at Gadsden Regional, uh, and they're having a lot of success with trying to curtail the patients who have mild to moderate symptoms and actually have COVID-19.
Okay. All right, Bishop T, what you have anything for Dr. Smith?
I don't have any other questions. I think no, I don't. I'm good.
Okay. Dr. Smith, I know you have had a long day. Man, we really appreciate you coming on. I think you answered so many questions. I think a lot of people are very happy that you gave them the information that they really need. We look forward to talking to you again, man. You stay safe. And again, thank you for coming on.
Well, I thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate everything that you guys are trying to do and the things that you've done and things that you're going to do. And I really appreciate being able to speak out about this. And I just pray that people really listen and really not look at me as the black guy saying this or
Mhm.
the Democrat or the Republican saying this, but look at me as saying from what I've seen with my eyes and what I've studied with my mind and what I continue to see, and know that I'm telling the truth, and I would never put my energy into something that I didn't believe in.
Right.
And every day I'm there for you as patients, trying to put you in the best situation that you have for your personal health. And there's nothing that I do that'll violate that or that oath that I've taken, which is first do no harm. That's the oath that I live by, and that's the oath that I go by in my recommendations.
All right, you got many people telling you thank you, Dr. Smith. Your knowledge is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. God bless. So many people are showing you love. I want everybody on Facebook Live right now, flood the timeline with hearts and show love to Dr. Xavier Smith. And thank you so much for that information that you have shared with us, man. We're praying for you. Look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you, guys. Have a
Thank
good night.
you.
You too.
You too.
Man, that's some stuff he shared with us on today. I pray that he cleared up many questions. Everyone had an opportunity to ask questions that they have really been troubling them, or they've been really trying to process and think over. Listen, he gave some. I could tell it on his face, Bishop. Um, this has an effect on him. Seeing these um, mothers that's trying to have their children saying they can't breathe because they think it's the child that's keeping them from breathing all along. It's the virus, and people refusing to take the vaccine. We just want people to survive this by any means necessary, and we thank Dr. Smith for coming on. That was sponsored by Dre Kirkpatrick, 21 Kids, Huddle Up campaign. Um, and we're going to be, of course, doing it again within this month, bringing someone on to answer your questions and give us the knowledge we need concerning what's going on in the health community. Bishop?
Yeah, it I think it boils down to what we're going to do to not only protect ourselves but to protect others. I am glad that we are partnering with the Drake Kirkpatrick Foundation and their Let's Huddle campaign because, and that's why something happened with my internet, and so I don't know what it was, but that's why I was saying as many people as we can. Now is the time to kind of ask those questions, and we know that that's going to be a part of our show um, periodically. But it's important to ask those questions now, to make those statements now when we actually have this
Mhm.
level of professionalism on our platform.
Right.
Um, when normally you talk about a consultation from a doctor that costs or whatever, but he's here to answer questions about COVID, and not only COVID, the vaccination, the effects of COVID, the effects of the vaccination. And I'll say this, and I'm done. Um, he said something that resonates with me. Um, People are dying from COVID. People are dying from the Delta variant. Um, People are not dying from the vaccination.
Mhm.
And so, again, we just need to. Um, it's one of those things we're here, and we can encourage people to take the vaccination. We can put out the mandates that are going forth there. In the end, people are going to do what they want to do. So I encourage us all to do what you're going to do and do what you need to do to keep yourself safe until we can really get some control over uh, COVID. I think it was good. It's great having the doctor on, and it's great to be partnering with the Drake Kirkpatrick Foundation in their
Right.
Let's Hold campaign. So please stay tuned. Get those shows where we have those medical professionals here to answer the questions that you need answers so you can make the best judgment, make the best decision possible for you and your health.
That is so true. And I did what you said concerning Drake Kirkpatrick, our nephew that we call him, and the 21 Kids Huddle Up campaign, Let's Huddle campaign. We appreciate them partnering with us. We also thank Etowah County Commissioner, District 5, Jeffrey Washington, for sponsoring Real Talk. Thank him for sponsoring Real Talk. Listen, y'all share this information with any and everyone. Let them know that Real Talk comes on every Thursday. Every Thursday at 6:15. We're dealing with issues
What?
that matter.
Let me ask a question. What was that you just put up?
Let's see, what did they say? Well, I had two friends that died after the vaccination.
Okay. They died after the vaccination, or they died as a result of the vaccination? I guess that's something that concerns me.
Miss Marbury in Georgia said pre-existing conditions, probably. And and
Right.
and and uh, and everyone know that medicine don't work with everybody. Some medicine, some people are allergic to certain things, but there's a very low number. There have been a few I've heard that have passed from once they received the vaccination. They had complications. We don't know if it was after they had had the virus or how soon they took it, or if it's because it didn't work with what they had already going on.
Okay, so I want to clarify something though, in that it's a difference in dying from the vaccination and dying as a result of COVID, and you had conditions that, even though after taking the vaccination, I just want to clarify that so that people who are sitting don't think that they died from the vaccination. The action. I think that's what he was saying, that
Yeah.
they didn't die from the vaccination.
Ms. Marbury said 95% effective, 5% would not be as effective.
Right.
Miss Tara, which is Alexandra's mother, said that Alexandra works for the Department of Georgia Public Health. All right. We're so glad to have you on. Thank you. True. That's why I didn't want to get it. Okay. Well, again, we thank all of you for coming. Bishop T, you have anything else you would like to share before we go?
No, I don't. It was good show. I think we are providing some very needed information. As
Yeah.
I see that.
I saw my brother Kevin Bernard on in Atlanta. I think it's his first time able to watch. Hello, my big brother, Kevin Bernard Huff. He said it was good information. He received his second shot as well. Go get vaccinated, everyone. We want to see you survive this storm, and you can survive it. You can survive it. Thank you all for joining us. Pass it on. Listen, we have been actually putting out invites for those that are on the Facebook and YouTube to like our pages, accept the invitation to the Facebook page, accept like and subscribe to YouTube. Until next Thursday, y'all have a blessed day.